Hey everyone, Shaedow here, and welcome to another Marvel Contest of Champions video. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at Cull Obsidian. He was recently in the arenas, and he had a lot of hype surrounding him. And we're going to find out whether he lives up to that hype. Alright, so all I have is a 4-star. He is awakened, but let's take a look first at his synergy bonuses. Now, I was a little underwhelmed by his synergy bonuses. I'll tell you guys that right up front. So take a look at these first couple here. They give him a new mission. Okay, now we'll talk about his missions later, but he has a max of 10. So having extra missions just means he can get there potentially faster. And these are only able to be completed once per quest. All right. So all that does is speed up the time it takes to get to the max. All right, now you have here one that's a little bit interesting. You know, launching a special attack gives him a fury, but it's only for 4 seconds. Okay, but in those 4 seconds, if you can manage to land a few hits, lots of damage. But is it worth bringing one of these guys, Hulkbuster, for example, to your team? You can decide on that one. All right, and the others just give critical rating. Now, this synergy with Heimdall, of course, you know Heimdall has his own synergy, so that's actually not bad. Same thing with Thor Ragnarok. You know, there are some synergies there that are very beneficial. And you'll see the team that I went in with when we look at his gameplay later. All right, so let's take a look at his signature ability. Now, of course, everybody wants to know whether he needs to be awakened. In my opinion, he does not need to be awakened. However, his awakened ability adds quite a bit of damage to him. So you want him awakened. All right, so once Cull Obsidian's route buff has expired, it goes into cooldown and can be reactivated after 20 seconds. So understand that without the signature ability, you can only activate the route buff once, and I believe you can do a special 3 to reactivate it so that you can do it multiple times. But with the signature ability, you can do it multiple times without needing to fire off a special 3. So very, very useful right there. All right. Now, when the route enters cooldown, okay, so it ran out, and now you're waiting the amount of time. Here at level 20, it's 20 seconds. So for 20 seconds, while it's in cooldown, you're going to get a fury buff. But that fury buff is only going to last for 5 seconds. But the buff gains 0.5 seconds for each hit landed while the route was active. So what you want to do when you activate route is go to town, be super aggressive, hit as many as you can. Hit him as many times as you can. And that will give you an even longer fury buff, and you'll do more damage. All right? So a very useful signature ability. Now, let's take a look here about his missions. Now, if you're familiar with Corvus or Proxima Midnight, it's the same type of mechanic. You complete missions, you gain a charge. Now, for Cull Obsidian, he has a maximum of 10 that he can acquire. Okay, 10 persistent charges. Now, what's nice about this, unlike Proxima Midnight, where you have to complete the missions in order, he's more like Corvus, where you can complete the missions in any order. However, he has one thing that Corvus does not. You can complete multiple missions multiple times. Okay, so for example, knocking out any champion, that's going to give you the first mission, right? Well, each time you knock out a champion, you're going to complete that mission again and get another charge. With Corvus, for example, once you complete one mission, you can't complete that mission again. So that's actually quite nice. So you're going to be able to get to the max of 10 pretty easily. Okay, you can complete any of these 3 missions, and you just need to complete them multiple times to get to the max of 10. All right, knock out an Avenger, knock out a champion above 95% health without the combo meter resetting during the fight. So you know how in Alliance War, you sometimes have paths that are Corvus proofed? they'll place defenders that are not Avengers, you know, so that he won't be able to pick up a charge. Well, you can't do that with Cull Obsidian, at least from what I'm seeing here, because as long as you knock out a champion, you can complete a mission. All right. So next, we already mentioned this, max persistent charges. He has a maximum of 10. Now, at the beginning of the fight, one Thanos's favor buff is gained per persistent charge. So these charges carry over every fight. Now, these buffs last 10 seconds each, and they gain effects based on the number of charges. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. These buffs have their duration paused for 1 second each time an attack is landed. I didn't worry too much about that. If you're fighting aggressively, it's not really something that I think you need to be overly concerned with. All right, so here are Thanos' favor buffs. All right, and these are from the persistent charges. So you get 1 or more, 10% attack per buff. All right, 3 or more, you get critical rating. 5 or more, you get true accuracy. So you ignore evasion and auto block. So you're going to tear apart any MODOKs or any auto evade champions. Not going to have a problem with them. And 8 or more, you get 5% longer route duration, which increases your damage considerably. All right, so well-timed blocks allows him to parry against projectiles. I mentioned that in my previous video where we just ranked up and showed him off a little bit. That seems interesting, but I haven't had a chance to really use that a lot, to be honest with you. Now, dash back and hold block for 1.2 seconds. This is how you activate the route. Okay, and you see that it says once per fight. However, if you have his signature ability awakened, that no longer applies. All right, so he overcharges his weapon, gains the route buff for 8 seconds, causes the opponent to suffer 100% minus 100% auto block ability accuracy, which means if you don't have the charges to gain that true strike and get that accuracy there, activate route and go to town. Okay, now what makes route so damaging? Read the next part here. Not only that auto block, which is nice, but it also grants his attacks an additional burst of energy damage equal to 120% of the damage dealt. That is insane, and you guys are going to see that. All right, so his heavy attacks, this is something else that is quite useful. Armor breaks, and is a pretty hefty armor break as well. Okay, it gains 15% duration and ability accuracy for each persistent charge. So what that means is you have a 50% chance to inflict the armor break. Okay, and his heavy attack is a 3-hit heavy. So you've got 3 chances, and three chances, 50% each strike. However, if you have persistent charges, that increases. So you're more likely to land the debuff. And when you get to 10, you're going to land that debuff every time. All right. And finally, let's take a look at the specials. Okay. You can read the special 1, special 2. Very useful there. Combo shield. His special 2 here. Each strike has an 80% chance to pause the duration of all armor break debuffs on the opponent for 2 seconds. And a 100% chance to stun for 2 seconds. That can be quite useful. And finally, his special 3, an influx of power from Thanos causes Cull Obsidian to re-trigger all of his Thanos favor buffs. 10% attack for each persistent charge. So that special 3, which honestly I did not get a chance to use, you'll see why. His damage was just so insane. But that also seems like a good way to reset, if you need to, the favor buffs. Okay, so fire that special 3 off, you'll be able to use your route once again. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to take him into Act 5, and you're going to get a chance to see what he can do. So the first thing I want to talk about is the team that I decided to go in here with, and you can see the synergies that are active. So I brought in Heimdall because of the cheat death mechanic. I brought in Nick Fury as well as Deadpool X-Force for that restoration kit because I'm running suicides. So that'll give me a little bit more sustainability. And I brought in Hela because when I dash back, this is her synergy, when I dash back and hold for 1.5 seconds, I get a Fury for the rest of the fight. So that increases my damage. That plays very nicely with the route buff, which you have to dash back and hold for 1.2 seconds. So when you're activating the Fury, you're also activating the route buff as well. And you really do some damage. All right, so we're going in here, Act 5.1, and I've chosen to take the Vitality path. That seems to be a pretty good test for your damage. And remember, this is a 4-star Cull Obsidian, and I am running suicides. So right now I have 1 persistent charge. So I start off with a few armor breaks. Okay, I don't know if this is the best way to play him to get the most damage, but it seems to me that putting as many armor breaks on him as you can is going to increase his damage potential. Okay, so I got a few. Now I'm holding, and I have the route up now, and just look at his damage. Look at the damage that he is doing. Look at those crits. This is insane. And mind you, he only has 1 persistent charge. You saw that I stunned him. All right, now I have the Fury because it was in cooldown and just ripped him apart. This is Act 5, and this is a 4-star Cull Obsidian. We are going to go through this entire path, and we will fight the boss. So you'll see how Cull Obsidian's damage ramps up. So for every fight, I want you to take a look at his persistent charges and compare that to the damage that he is dealing. You should see that it goes up with the persistent charges. And once he reaches his max of 10, that's when you can see his damage potential as a 4-star. The 565s are insane, and this 4-star is crazy enough. All right, so what do I think of Cull Obsidian? I like him. I believe he has lived up to the hype. Now bear in mind, this insane damage that he's able to do does come at a price. He has no immunities. All right, so he's not bleed immune, he's not poison immune, he is not incinerate immune, shock immune, nothing. And that can cause him to be unsuitable for certain encounters. But when damage is needed, you need to call Cull Obsidian. Now, I don't know what the highest damage rotation is for Cull Obsidian, but what you'll see throughout all of these fights is that I start off with some armor breaks. Try to get about 6 or so. I guess it depends on the fight. I might go for a little bit more. You can just see how much damage he's doing. Then, after I get a few armor breaks on them, I dash back and try to activate my route and also the Fury that I get with the Heimdall Hela synergy. And then I just go to town. So you can see his damage just ramping up. It is just crazy. So I've heard some people say that he was better than Cordis. First of all, I don't think of champions that way. I think of them in terms of the encounters that they're suitable for. So you may have an encounter that's well suited for a particular champion versus another champion. It doesn't make that champion better, it just means that they are better suited to handle the task at hand, okay? But with that said, as much as I love Cull Obsidian and his damage, I still prefer Corvus in many situations. Because Corvus, for one, he doesn't take bleed damage. He also has that glaive immunity. So, for me, I think I will still continue to use Corvus in the majority of situations. But Cull Obsidian is a true beast, and he definitely lives up to the hype. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get out of your way here and let you watch a few more fights, and then I'll be back when we face the final boss, which is Punisher 2099.
The following message is requested by the state of Modern Talk. There has been an outburst of a deadly infection. I repeat, an outbreak of a highly contagious illness. Sensing the station's
Godlike.
system. Two men who have killed and eaten the body of the deceased.
Unstoppable.
Alright, we've come to the final boss fight, and it's against Punisher 2099. So far, Cull Obsidian seems unstoppable. Let's see what he can do against this Punisher 2099. You can see the boost that we're going in here with. You'll notice I did not heal up, but he has his max persistent charges, so he's doing a lot of damage, about as much as he can do here. So just take a look at these armor breaks. Look at the damage that he's doing to this boss. Now, Punisher 2099 still isn't even to a bar of power. Alright, so I activated Route, and just look at this. This is insane. Crazy. Just destroyed him. This is a 4-star. A 4-star. Anyway, that is going to do it, guys. I really like Cull Obsidian. He is just nuts. Hopefully, you guys see his damage potential, and hopefully, you want him as well, and we'll get him. But that's going to do it, guys. Click like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this video. And you guys have a blessed day.